Hello everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the AdvancedVape build guide. So as you know, if you've watched this series, we've been getting more and more difficult with each build, and we're going to take a detour today. This isn't a more difficult build, it's just something different, something that I was really excited to try out, and so I'm going to make an episode on the build guide just for this dripper because I'm real excited to try it out, and I think it'll perform great with our wire. So this is the Royal Hunter RDA. And I'm real excited to give it a try. I don't think it'll be hard to build on. It's a nice big 4-post, and I think it'll have great performance. I'm real excited to try it out. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to do Vertebraid. I know I do a lot of builds with Vertebraid on the channel, but it's my favorite, and that's always the first thing that I want to put in something to try it out. So we're going to do 8 wraps on a 3mm. And I'm going to pull them just a little bit with the pliers to tighten those up. I'll go on and do the second one now. I'm going to wrap 9 and undo that very first one. We'll space it out to make sure we did that right. Yep. And we'll go straight into installation. It's a nice big 4-post, so I don't think there's going to be any problems installing this. Those post holes are plenty big. Trying to pick up my Allen key here. There we go. Just going to make sure those are nice and tight, and then we'll move on to the next one. There's a little bit of a nub there, but I think it's fine. And I'm just trying to press it flush against the positive post there. So if you remember from our first time with the 4-post, we're going to need to pre-trim this. And I'm not going to trim it too close because this is a big, spacious kind of RDA and we don't have to worry about it too much. Need to back that screw out just a little bit. No real problems getting those in there. I plan to continue the build guide, doing more difficult builds, doing smaller builds, and stuff like that. I just wanted to make a detour today because I was really excited to build on this, and I'd like to see how it performs with Vertebraid in there. Well, hopefully that's my only time dropping something on this video. If you watch my videos, you know I try my best to drop something every video. Sorry about the focus. Okay, got them nice and tightened down there. And it doesn't look like we have it sticking out the other side. Going to use my pick jig just to rearrange it just a little bit. Try and get them towards the center if I can. With a firmer wire, something like a fuse Clapton, that's going to be a lot harder to move this over, but Vertebraid is fairly squishy, so no real issue pushing it over. I'm going to put my battery in and we're ready to go. So resistance should be about 0.12, 0.14, somewhere around there. 0.14, there we go. Just gonna do one final little straighten up before we start firing. Make sure we've got them nice and even. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Wait for it to cool down and continue to brush it. Looks pretty even. Looking pretty good. There's my second time dropping something. I'm gonna go up in watts. So if you'll notice, I'm just firing until I get a faint orange glow. I'm not just dry burning it until it gets super hot, bright orange. And if you look through, you know, I was rewatching some of my older videos, and there's a couple where it looks like I just get it glowing so hot that it's almost white hot. And I didn't do that. It's sort of, you got to keep in mind that this camera picks up light differently than how I would see it in person. And you just want to get it a faint orange glow so that you can see how it's firing. You don't need to get it white hot, and in fact you shouldn't. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're building. There's no reason to get it super hot. Just a faint orange glow like this, so you can see how it's heating up, and then you just lay off of it. And also keep in mind that sometimes my camera may pick up it being brighter than it is in person. So I'm happy with that. I'm ready to move on to wicking. And that's really one of the things that I love about Vertebraid, and why that's always my first choice. I like the flavor and the performance and all of that, but just from a building perspective, it's so much easier to build with, and you'd think that it would be a problem dry firing it, but it dry fires way better than other wires, or at least faster to get it working. You know, I put that on there and it was already pretty much working right away. You know, I did a little bit of refining, but there was no crazy hot spot to work out. It just kind of worked right away. And if you're doing a lot of builds, you know, stuff like that makes a big difference. It can be really frustrating if you're doing a build and for whatever reason that build just won't fire right, and you're just messing with it for a really long time. And it's nice to just build the Vertebraid, throw it in there, and be confident that it won't take forever to get firing right. So we're not even 15 minutes in from the beginning of this video, and we're already on to wicking. So this dripper is very fast, super easy to build on, and I can't wait to see how the performance is. Gonna use my new scissors that I got. These are, I guess, for pruning or some kind of plant related cutting or whatever. But they are super sharp, and I like them better than the scissors I was using previously. It's kind of a no effort kind of cut. They're so sharp and small enough to do precision type stuff, which is good for building wicks on the smaller type. Smaller type build decks, I mean. It can always be a little weird on a 4-post, getting one of the sides in, the side with the leg. So there's that leg going right here, and you kind of have to get the wick in underneath it. So on a smaller dripper, that can be kind of a pain, so something like a plume veil. And on the side without the leg, it's always really easy. Just get it stuffed in there and make sure that there's a gap underneath the coil. I'm going to cut off all these little stray rayon bits. And that's it. Just under 18 minutes and we're ready to juice it up and go. I'm just briefly pulse firing to heat up that juice and make it soak in faster. I like to make sure that the wick is really super saturated whenever I do a dripper build. And that normally makes the first couple hits really juicy, not much smoke. But as soon as a little bit of that juice burns off, I know that there's not going to be some little bit of dry cotton that I missed. Gonna double check there's an air gap in there. So as you can see, I have it very juiced up. So my first couple hits are gonna be really juicy, but that's okay. I like the way that this top cap is designed. You can kind of pull it out. It has a notch if you want to do single coil. And you can kind of just rotate it to adjust the airflow. And I'm going to adjust it about here. And it also has this little mesh down in there, and that's supposedly to help with spit back protection, keep it from spitting back too much. But I hope that it doesn't make it too dry, because I like a dense, moist kind of vape. That's my preference. So as long as that little mesh doesn't interfere with that, I'm fine. We're going to go to 65 to start it off. And here we go. Very juicy, like I thought it would be. Let's see how it's looking. I always gotta try and make sure there aren't any of those little fibers laying up against the coil. Starting to pick up now. Quite a bit of airflow. Actually going to turn that air down just a little bit more. Really, really good flavor. I'm really impressed with the flavor on this. Gonna juice it up and we'll be right back. For a flavor chaser kind of build, only at 65 watts, airflow kind of closed down. That's really good performance, really big clouds, and it's got some distance, and more than that, it's got density to it. Those are real dense, lots of flavor kind of clouds. And you know, if I cranked it up or put a more cloud chasing build in there, I could make them even bigger. But just for a purely flavor build, that has really great performance, and I'm happy with this dripper. And I think I'll probably leave that build in there for a little while and just keep using it. That'll bring us to the end of episode 7. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any suggestions or comments, just leave me a comment, send me an email. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you like the videos that we put out. And we'd like to hear from you if you have recommendations for future videos.